Alright guys, welcome to my first ever tier list video where I'm going to be ranking all of the maps in Splatoon 3. So the worst map in the game, it has to be Mahi Mahi Resort. It's terrible. Like, I don't know how they messed up Mahi this bad. The flank routes are non-existent. The mid is way too tiny and cramped, and an E-leader can just snipe you from pretty much anywhere. It's a nightmare. In the spawn area, so small, you can be spawn camped so easily, there's no way to flank spawn. This makes Mahi Rainmaker an absolute nightmare. I consider that to be the worst map mode combination in the entire game. Tower and zones on this map are absolutely awful. Clams is probably the best mode on Mahi, but it's still Mahi and it's still really bad. This map is just absolutely awful. Let's move on to the second worst map, which is going to be Mincemeat Metalworks. Yeah, the flanking is bad, really bad. Like, it requires you put yourself up and out in the open, which leads you to getting sniped by E-leaders and stuff. Also, speaking of E-leaders, by the way, this map is just E-leader hell. They can snipe the entirety of mid. Like, they can snipe you from very far into your own side, and there's not much you can do to hide or to defend yourself against them. It's impossible to get to the enemy base, which makes Clams and Rainmaker an absolute nightmare. It's unbelievable in how bad it is. It's just really, really bad. I debated putting this in F tier because of the most recent Splatfest where I had to suffer through it, but Undertow Spillway is going in D. It's honestly kind of safe by the fact that you can kind of flank spawn, but not really, because you have two different areas that you can get through there in. So it's not like you're stuck with one option. You kind of have two options, but they both suck. Mid is so cramped, and there's no way to avoid the two cramped areas. That's the problem. You're forced down these narrow choke points. And that's all mid is. Your side of the base is somewhat cramped as well. Honestly, Clams and Rainmaker are just so bad on this stage because of how little room you have to maneuver. It's unbelievable. At least it's not E-leader hell like these two maps, but it's still like a pain to play on. It's a pain to get around. It's unbelievably painful. Alright, let's go on to the first map that I do consider to be not really bad. Hammerhead Bridge. Hammerhead Bridge it's alright, it's playable, but it's not good. It's definitely not insufferable like Mahi Mahi or Mincemeat or something like that. It is playable. You can play on it and have fun. I wouldn't say that all the modes are good. I do like zones on this map, but the others are meh. I don't think Rainmaker is very good on this map. Along with tower control, that's not great either. Clams is alright. I just think that it's not that good. It's just not bad. The next one is going to be Scorched Gorge. Now, my opinion on this map has changed, unfortunately, for the worse as I've played on it. Clams is good. Honestly, though, Tower is pretty bad on this map. Rainmaker is fine, and Zones is alright. The thing about this map, though, is that it's really hard to get the enemy side. Going along this tiny grate is a great way to get yourself killed. Next up, we have Inkblot, which is going in B tier. It's good on zones, and it's okay on Clams, and it's not good on Rainmaker. And Tower is a bit of a mixed bag. Like, on tower control, the path of the tower is fantastic. There's one problem, though. I really don't think they need to put the ramps that lead up to the enemy's spawn flank. The enemies have access to that part, which makes it kind of a nightmare to get spawn camped here. Like, on zones it's not there, but it is here on Tower and Rainmaker, unfortunately. It shouldn't be there, because it just makes it a nightmare. When they push, there's no way for you to get around. You can escape spawn, but at that point, you're so far away from the objective that you might as well be dead. Other than that, the map layout is pretty good. It's just not the best. Next is going to be Sturgeon Shipyard, which I do believe is a pretty decent map. Nothing great about it, but nothing really bad. All the modes are solid. Can't really think of any of them that I do not like. I think that the two ways into the enemy spawn is good, and the rotating platform provides for extra access around the map. It is definitely not as cramped as it looks, because you can go up, down, and stuff. Next up is going to be Wahoo World. I do think that Wahoo World is overhated. Like, I actually do like the map, except on tower control. Wahoo on tower control is actually pretty bad, but I actually do like the other modes, like, a lot. Zones is really good because, well, I mean, it is a small zone, but it's protected by all the walls, so it's not like super easy to get to it. I also really like Clams and Rainmaker on this map a lot. They're really good. Next up, I'm going to be putting Brinewater Springs. That's next. Putting it in B. I'm putting it in B as well. I would put it in A. There's one reason why I'm not putting Brinewater in A, and that is zones. it does feel a little bit unfair to judge this map based on its zones layout, because it's not even the layout that's bad. It's just the fact that they made the zone way too small, which makes the map kind of unplayable on zones. It's so small, it basically becomes just back and forth, back and forth. I do believe this is up there with Mahi Mahi Resort as one of the worst zones maps in the game. What saves it here, though? All the other modes are good. All of them. You can actually get out of spawn, and there's plenty of room to defend your spawn. I do believe that the one-way Rainmaker actually does work on this map because of how small it is. I feel like it would work better than, like, if there were 2 checkpoints on a really small map, then the game would be too fast because the checkpoints would be way too close to each other. See Mahi Mahi Resort for that. Next up is Eeltail. I will say, Eeltail tower control is amazing. And that is not something I will say about very many tower control maps, because I'm not the biggest fan of tower control, but honestly, this map nails tower control. It's amazing. The other modes are okay too. I do not dislike any of the modes on Eeltail. Zones is probably a big talking point because of how big the zone is. I think it works. It actually takes time to get the zone rather than having us take it immediately. I like that aspect. As far as Rainmaker goes, it's probably the weakest, but it's not bad either. Clams is pretty good. I do consider this a pretty good map. Next up is Museum. Museum. Okay, Museum de Alfonsino. I do think this is really good. The only problem I have is that the flank isn't great. Like, it just drops you into low ground. But that's not the worst thing in the world. But the rest of the map is pretty good. I do like pretty much all the modes on this map. I don't really think any of them are bad. This map is really, really good. I like it quite a lot. Next up is Hagglefish. The best new map in the game right now. There's one problem. I have one problem with this map, and that's this tent right here. The tent platform right there, or whatever you call it, is annoying as hell. Because they have the snipers just rest on it, and they can shoot from this flank area right here and mid as well, and pretty far into it too. You can't even throw normal bombs up there. Splat bombs, they just roll off. That is the only negative thing I have to say about this map, because it is fantastic. Every mode is really good on this map. The flanking is great. It's not too powerful, and it's not too bad either. I think it's great. It's a really good maps, and I'm just glad that they know how to make good maps, even if they are also making bad ones. Make 'em Art is next up. Make 'em Art was one of the best maps in Splatoon 2, and it continues to be a top tier. I do like all the modes on this map. All of them. They're all good. I can't really tell you which one I like the least, because they're all so good. I really like Rainmaker and Zones especially. I guess by default, my least favorite is going to be Tower, because of course it is. Although in Clams, it does kind of bother me that the Clam does not drop down to the throwing point. It drops to the top, so you have to go all the way around to get it. I don't understand that, but you know what? It doesn't matter that much. Make 'em Art is good. Great. And finally, the best map in the game, in my opinion, is Flounder Heights. Now, I know it was shrunken down from Splatoon 1. I didn't play Splatoon 1, but I will say this map is great. It's amazing. It's fun. It's so much fun. Flounder Zones is my favorite map mode combo. The elevation in the mid would be a problem if you couldn't go up there from anywhere. Like, you can swim up the walls from anywhere, pretty much. Which is not something you see in a lot of Splatoon maps. You see a lot of uninkable surfaces. So here, to see inkable surfaces everywhere that you can swim up is refreshing. I will say that my least favorite mode here is definitely tower control. Recently I found out that the tower used to go in the middle of the 2 buildings rather than above them, and I don't know why they changed it, because this is just straight up a downgrade. Like, it would be bad, but the thing is you can approach from anywhere. You can even approach from the sides right here, or you can just attack from the bottom and sneak up on them, because you can swim up from anywhere. It's still not the best in tower control, but it's the best map everywhere else. Clams is great, Rainmaker is great, Zones is amazing. I just think this is probably the best map in the game because of just how much fun it is to play on. And that was my tier list. Most of the maps are pretty playable, at least. And I am looking forward to see what maps they bring in the future. I just hope I don't have to add any more to my bottom 3. Anyways, guys, that was my tier list on all the maps in Splatoon 3. Leave a comment to let me know what you might disagree or agree with, and what your opinions are. Thanks for watching.